We've gone live. We just did.
Hi.
I'm not big on countdowns or anything. I just sort of jump straight in. And we've got no one in here yet, but it's recording, and anyone coming back
Okay.
will be able to come in and have a look. And so, hi everyone. Gecko Pico, David here, and I've got Christina here with me today, the Wailing Banshee. Some of you will know her
Hi,
as
everybody.
on Substack. And we are going to just have a bit of a chat today. We haven't organised specific like syllabus.
Everything. My screen's gone black.
I noticed that. Yeah, that's them attacking you, my darling. My screen does that all the time.
Yes,
and
I know.
they don't want you to talk, my darling.
No, they
It's
don't.
what's
I know
happening.
they don't.
Yeah,
Definitely don't. They
and
definitely
so
don't want me talking, David. I know far too much.
I can still see you.
Can you
but
see me at all?
You're yes, but
Oh, you can. That's good. Well,
you're
I'll just
very
carry on then.
you're very blurry. That's the only thing. So I think they're actually trying to technologically screw your side of things.
Yeah.
What
Well, I've
I'm
just got a black screen.
Yeah, really. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well,
My screen's gone completely black.
I'll let you know if I can't see you. How about that? If you can still hear me. Oh, there you come back a
Oh,
bit.
you're back. Yes, I can see. I can see.
There we are. And so today we're going to be focused on me and Christina have basically, well, let's start with this. Christina's been going down the path of organized stalking and techno harassment through electronic means, electronic harassment for many, many years now, well more than I have. So Christina's old hack at this. I would say. And
Yeah.
but the funny thing is with my line of inquiries, it took me down the path of synthetic biology, and eventually to the Morgellons and Lyme disease and explorations in all of these weird and wonderful ailments that our medical establishment, for some reason, doesn't want to acknowledge, right? And isn't that funny?
Of course they don't. It's all classified.
That's right. And then we've got all these new ones coming up too, because they couldn't keep it under these banners anymore. So you start to get fibromyalgia, you start to get EHS, what's that? Electro hypersensitivity. You start to get all these weird ones.
It's all this bullshit that, listen, I've spent 20, 30 years being diagnosed with various things, and it's only in the last few weeks your research. See, I've been doing this for 7 years now, and I came up in 2021. I came up with a list of things that, through my own research, I worked with an engineer. I spoke to Barry. I went and spent a couple of hours with Barry Trower in 2024.
Yeah,
he confirmed everything I had found, and it's like I worked out so much, but there was just a few things that were missing that I didn't have the knowledge myself to look into. And I was so busy with other things and other aspects of what's been going on with me and trying to get that sorted. It's taken up so much of my fucking life.
Absolutely. And as it does, right?
It wasn't until I read your research and the penny dropped, and I'm thinking, fuck me. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I've been trying to work out for 5 years what it is they've been pairing this shit with. By 2023, I was absolutely convinced that everybody was infected with Morgellons and that they were pairing it with at least one other bioengineered. I kind of thought along the lines of it had to be something along the lines of something like the mycelium, like mushroom roots, mycelium root systems can go on for miles and
there may be an element.
It's got to be something like it.
Absolutely, there may be, I think, an element of fungus. I've actually
everything that I've been diagnosed with since 2010 covers everything of late-stage Lyme neuroborreliosis, the fibromyalgia, the plantar fasciitis, the carpal tunnel syndrome that comes and goes. I started in 2012. I started getting dizzy and falling over backwards. No, my doctor sent me for a brain scan. And my doctor knew what the fuck was going on. He was the one that was diagnosing me with shit and giving me pills to shut me up, He put me on amitriptyline for nerve pain. It causes nerve pain,
Nerve
and the
pain.
targeting causes nerve pain. They've put millions of people all around the world on huge fucking amounts of big pharma to shut them up, to contain the symptoms, so nobody asks any questions.
Can I just start at let's go back a step. I might just give a bit of an overview of what it is that what both of us have actually come to a conclusion of, because and so essentially I've been posting quite a lot lately on Morgellons and all this sort of stuff. And I recently I tried to get Stefan, who's the creator of TI1 Voice. He's an awesome dude. He lives over in Brussels. I've convinced. I recently released a post saying to people, get yourself, just let me grab this, get yourself one of these. I hope you didn't see me underwear then. Get yourself one of these little numbers. You can get
but you could try and get them. We're all having it.
You can get them at $50 off eBay, right? Or off Amazon or whatever. They cost you nothing. And then wipe your skin over. Get yourself a cotton ball, like a little cotton ball, like one of these little numbers, right? And you put a bit of alcohol on it, and then you just wipe the surface of your skin like this. Now, I'm telling you, I reckon about 100% of every person who considers themselves targeted and getting electronic sensations on the skin, burning what they think is microwave, burns, vibrations, da-da-da-da-da, you are infected. You're infected, and you've got strands growing underneath your skin.
Burning in your feet.
Under
Pains
the skin.
coming from your knees, shooting down your legs.
Yeah, nerve pain, persistent nerve pain.
Pain on the top of your feet, sudden cramps in your feet.
Arthritic-like symptoms, all of it. I have little raised areas on your
sudden
skin.
Hair loss.
Right.
Don't forget the sudden hair loss.
There's so much they can do with this filthy stuff. And so what is it? And this
declining eyesight.
This is what we've found. Well, this is the thing. I can see these floaters in my eyes. And now when I used to see them as a years ago. And I used to go, it's just dust on my eyes. It's not. It's the same freaking fibers. They're floating around in your freaking eye fluid.
That's why. Yes, and they've invented. I remember I started noticing, then all of a sudden it was like, they're floaters. They're not fucking floaters. It's this shit floating around inside your body. It's everywhere.
That's right. Yeah,
it's everywhere.
And so they get like Family Guy had Stewie, little Stewie on, and he's like, squiggly line in my eye fluid,
I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I've got to plug my power in because they're killing my battery.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, and so I'll just continue explaining. So I tried to get everyone to do this, and finally I got Stefan from TI1 Voice. My music might be a bit loud here. From TI1 Voice to actually check himself, right? And so he went off and he ordered his little microscope, like I suggested. And he went and he tested his skin. And he's messaged me tonight, like just about a few hours before I went to bed, a few hours back. And he contacts me and he goes, David, I've got the same things. And he sent me all these photos. And I'm like, yeah, man, I know.
Welcome to the club.
I'm not right. And he's been targeted since 2017. That's 9 years of living with this without being able to tell that you've got it. The only thing that indicates that you have got it in any state that is prevalent, that is that you start getting these sensations. Now, I'm not saying the bacteria are the only things that produce.
It's not just that, though.
It's a combination targeting. That is, you are being hit deliberately.
People don't realise they've got it until they're overtly targeted physically, because we can have the symptoms of illnesses which are passed off. I mean, I've had these symptoms. I've been diagnosed with stuff since 2010. I mean, I'd had it for a few years, but it wasn't until 2019 that I actually realised I was being targeted by these fuckwits. And that's because they overtly let me know it was happening. And that's when I started working it out. And it was like, fuck. Right, I just want to get this in very quickly.
Right?
Just let me get this in quickly.
Yeah.
Some people use microscopes. What I've got here is a jeweler's loupe.
Jewelers. Yeah.
It's a 40 times magnification, and
Yeah.
it's got an LED light on it. If you rub your skin or shave your hairs off, or even look at the hairs on your body, you turn the light on, and you can actually see them, and you can tell that this stuff is growing out of our hair follicles. It's how it's coming
much,
out of our skin.
How much? Okay, how much is that one worth?
This one, I think it cost me about 10
Oh,
quid.
see, so anyone can afford this. There is no excuse. Targets.
Oh Christ,
out
yeah!
there.
You get these on eBay and on Amazon.
If we're going to face the problem that we're facing, like this is my problem, Christine. And this is the thing. You have the advantage of being able to see all this stuff happening prior to all this bullshit that's been put out in the media. All right, about nanobots. Like I'm talking the alternate media about nanobots, about all these like, oh, you've got like, this technology.
But they did it. It was a psyop.
It's a psyop.
It was part of the COVID psyop, and they've had all these people talking about it. Yeah. They've had all these people talking about it because it makes everybody think that these people are fucking lunatics and talking about nanobots and all this kind of shit because they needed to create an alternative so that people wouldn't believe it.
Once you got the nanobots in your body, then you got the nanobots, and then they can do things to you. Who's that? Who do you think I'm doing? I hope I'm doing it well. Once you got the nanobot.
You're shit at that, man.
Yeah, I know. Fucking shit. No, but you know who I mean. Alex fucking, what is his name? Alan Jones. Not Alan.
Oh, Alex Jones, yeah.
Alex Jones.
He's a shill.
Once you got
He's
the
a
nanobot.
shill.
Yeah, you're right. And so, I mean, this is what I mean. This is
It's a Capel operative.
It's a good old-fashioned bacterial infection that infects the dermis of the skin, but this isn't just external, unfortunately. This is internal.
It's been bioengineered.
It's internal.
It's not only that, it's the Morgellons is actually it's a bioengineered, technical, computerized, self-replicating antenna system that works throughout our bodies, but it has to be paired with something that is alive, bacterial, fungal, whatever it is that they want to use. That base station for it, it's like you can't have an antenna without a base station. It needs the base station. And basically you've got the Morgellons, which is the antenna, and the base station is whatever live bacterial or fungal or element that will spread throughout your body, the blood, nervous system, and the brain. They're pairing it with these base stations so it spreads throughout the body. And the Morgellons creates an antenna system throughout every millimeter of your body. And it can be activated anywhere in the body once it connects to their system. We've all been connected to these systems for fucking years.
For a long time.
This is what all the data centers are about. And they've been working and up and running since the 90s.
So can I explain
been infecting everybody with this since the 70s.
How I understand this. So essentially, I've shown videos where I picked up these fibers that I thought were coming from the sky, and they weren't coming from the sky. They were coming.
We all thought that to start with.
Now here's the thing, right? I was picking these up with a magnet, and so I've gone, hang on a minute, and then I've gone and I've done my research, and I found Morgellons, and Morgellons, they say keratin and collagen is what these fibers were found to be made of, because they did a test. Now, there's been further tests since then, and some have found chitin or something, which is some insect protein in them. So they are definitely genetically modified. All right. So, okay,
it's military.
Now, let me finish though. These fibers are black. And I was like, but hang on, if it's keratin and collagen, how come they're black? Because of iron. Okay, so what you've got is keratin collagen is extremely piezoelectric. And when it's in a form that's like a ribbon or a form that's like a tube, it's like a helix that actually creates an extremely responsive strand that is piezoelectric. But if you add iron into it, so piezoelectric means it responds to electricity. You add electricity and it will move. So if you've got a fiber, that little fiber is going to twist, it's going to bend. And I've got video of these things moving just in, not from wind, from they're flexing. They're doing like,
yes, they react to heat.
And they twist. They've got, some of them are like ribbons, But yeah, they respond though to electricity. So if you send an EMF
Yes.
wave, they respond. Now, if you put iron in that as well, which is what they have, which is possibly part of what they produce, and that's why they're black, a lot of them, that increases their responsiveness to magnetism. So not only are they responsive to electricity, they're responsive to magnetism. So they are
Yes.
responsive to both sides of the electromagnetic spectrum. This
Yes.
produces an intense effect, right? Because when you then hit someone with magnetism or with an EMF field, the movement, you're not only inducing movement you through the electro, which is flexing actual movement. So you've got thousands, millions of these strands, say, in your feet, because you've got a very thick dermis on the feet. And that's growing all under the skin.
Mm,
They're not on the skin. They come out of the skin as they grow too long and they start to push their
mm,
way out. And they're thin enough to go through, just through the skin without making a mark. You can't even tell. And so these things will move intensely to that EMF. And so what they're doing is they're pulsing it. So what would imagine I actually got one and I was hitting it with my signal analyzer and I was getting it to do this sort of stuff. Like, and I was hitting it with a signal and I'm like going, wow, this thing's responding to a 700 megahertz frequency. But the trick they
yeah.
use is that if you hit it with a 700, you might get it to do this. And then if you take that and you turn that off, it goes back again. And so then you
Yeah.
pulse it, it's going to do that.
Yeah.
And then if you pulse it 1,000 times, it's going to feel funny. If you pulse it 100 times, it's going to feel like it's
Yeah.
crawling. If you pulse it 100 times, if you pulse it a
Yeah.
thousand times,
Yeah.
it's going to feel like a
Yeah.
vibration. And if you pulse it
Yeah.
16,000
But
times,
that's
it's
how
going to
they're
burn.
targeting people.
It's going to burn when you do it that many times. And if it's in a coil and it's
Now, the
wrapped
thing
up with one of
is,
these strands, it's going to feel like a
do you know
burn.
how they're
Like
doing it?
how, yeah,
Do you know
how
how they're doing it?
in
They're
many
sending
ways.
those frequency emissions. They're using the electrical wiring in our houses to do it. Now, it was first used. I can't remember the research paper I found, and I've had a couple of engineers that have confirmed it. It was first used for surveillance tactics decades ago. The Chinese were using it, the Russians were using it, the British were using it, and the Americans were using it. They've all kept it hidden because then they
Yeah.
started using it for targeting people. But the thing is that these frequencies, and it's, I think it was a lot to do with the electrical wiring for the lights. Now, I realized back in 2021 was when I was doing a lot of my experiments with an electrical engineer and a radio ham. And I found out shitloads of stuff back then because I had the time to do it. Over the past couple of years, I've been concentrating more on trapping a lot of the police involved with documentation and basically, I've done a really good job of that. I'm about to start hitting them with it soon. But I found that every property that I'd lived in, as soon as I'd been in it 2 or 3 months, there were cracks appearing along the plaster in the ceilings where the lighting wire runs. And I asked an electrical engineer about it, and he said it's the 60 hertz pulse for the electrical wiring to the lights.
Yeah.
I think what they're doing, they're using the wiring inside our houses, and they can. It's being done through the grid system, and I've tested my theory over the last 5 years. Every time there's been a power cut anywhere I've lived, the symptoms drop off completely. The only
Ah,
thing that stays a little bit, I get a
yeah,
little bit of the tinnitus hiss still, but everything else
yeah,
goes
yeah.
instant. The pressure
Okay, so
goes off
but
my lungs, the
funny you
pressure
should
goes off my head.
funny you should say that. I was going through
And
a
you're talking about them activating this stuff. It's
yeah,
with different frequencies. They can
frequency,
activate
of
it to
course.
itch, crawl, pain, burn the
I
whole
mean,
fucking
yeah,
thing.
exactly. They're just different pulsings. And essentially, I mean, I agree with you that the grid, there is something in the grid because I had the same thing just recently. Like, and I basically was like having a real shit of it. You know, those days where they've just annoyed you all the way through and it's gotten more and more intense and you've got more and more worked up because they get what they want sometimes like that. But essentially, I just went, right,
Do
fuck
you know
this.
what? I just really can't wait until I can go through a day when I don't have to piss every 5 minutes.
Right, man. Like, just like they just, I mean,
Those days I
they fully hit
hate.
your bladder, don't they? And then it's like I hate waking up and going, oh yeah, it cooks my bladder again. I need to go to the toilet, right? But all they're doing is I mean, imagine a million of these little fibers inside your kidneys going like this, or inside your bladder. I mean, it's just it's scary.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah, and some sick freak sitting there pressing a button saying, "Yeah, come
pressing
on,
a
let's wake him
button,
up, make him piss again." Yeah, she's
yeah.
going for the door. Let's make her wet herself while she gets her shopping in. It's just
So
a nightmare.
I was severely annoyed this day, and so I've walked outside and I've just like randomly it just came into my head, and I'm like, cut the power, and I've just turned around, ran to the box, gone like this, and gone snap, and I walked back in, and it was dead quiet. It had been hissing
Yeah.
all day for hours and hours and hours, and I walked in, I was like, no, are they shitting me? Are they just turning everything off just to make me think that this is how it is? Because I just walked through the whole house and I was like, I haven't had it this quiet for a long time. So it was just that sudden snap. I was just like, stuff it, turn it off. And I was just like, wow, it's carrying on the power. Now I'm not saying that they can't hit you without it. I'm saying I still think there's a MIMO element. They can definitely use MIMO. We are
Yeah,
responsive
there
to
is.
fields.
There
I've
is.
been out in
They
the
have
field,
backup systems.
out exactly, out in the park, you know, and I've got the big tower sitting there, and I've been getting hit, and I've just gone, "Cool," and I just, "Oh, yeah, there's a tree." Jumped behind the tree.
Yeah, but the
All of a
problem
sudden,
is our
gone.
bodies are antennas. As long as
That's it.
because we've got this stuff inside us, and it's basically formed a network inside our bodies. Basically,
Yeah,
this stuff it's our bodies are like a glove around this stuff that's formed a network in every single millimeter of our bodies in every area.
yeah,
Basically, we are walking
exactly.
antennas for this shit. In our houses, we're targeted
Absolutely
much
true.
heavier because it's coming off the grid through our electrical wiring. So we're being hit inside our houses
Absolutely.
much heavier than we are
So
outside. But outside, we're hit from the pylons, the electrical grid system, the
that's
connections
right.
to the pylons, the connections from the towers, from satellites, from all kinds of shit. We can
All
even
kinds
be
of
hit from handhelds if we live somewhere where they
handhelds.
can't get to us. Oh
Hey,
yeah.
phones definitely. Like I've had phones inducing
Anything that kicks out a
myositis.
signal.
I've had scenarios where I've been driving out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, trying to get away from my attacks, and I couldn't get away from 'em. This is going back years. And I was
Mm,
just like, and then since then I realized, holy shit, it was the fucking phone. It was sitting right there next to my head,
yeah,
beaming me
yeah,
the whole time, and
yeah.
I was trying to run and drive away from it. Get away from it! It's like, oh, you've got the weapon in your car. That's the problem. And so when you're talking about people think this is complex, right?
And if
But
your car
when it
has
comes
Wi-Fi, if you've got a modern car, your car is the weapon as well.
yeah, 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 exactly, right? Exactly, yeah, newer cars. Yeah, my mum's car getting that, and it starts hitting me from the dashboard, and I get a piece of, material, like, and I just chuck that material over the top of it, and it stops. I'm like, there's something odd in your dash. I saw an excellent video of a guy. He found the box that does all this shit in it, and it wasn't. He didn't say it was for targeting. He said it was for surveillance, and it knows where you're looking. It knows where you're driving. It knows where you are on the road. And it's this little black box inside the dash, and you can rip that whole thing out, and the whole car still operates as normal. And so that's interesting, eh? And so, I mean, this is the thing. So I want to address
I tell you
some
what,
people.
every country
Hello to
has their own
everyone.
system.
Hey,
Every country has their own operating system for this targeting program.
I
Now,
would imagine
I've
so, yeah.
noticed the time, and my sister's noticed as well. My sister's targeted to shit, bless her as well.
Does she
Every
know?
time we've left the
Does she know?
UK,
Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. It took me 4 years to get her to stop telling me that I was, disturbed, mentally ill, this, that, and the other. And of
Oh,
course, I got
wow.
a phone
Yeah,
call.
so she
She
was
said,
a
"Oh my
convert.
God," it's like 4 years. Oh my God, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. I realised now you were telling me the truth. Oh my God, she's so cleaned up now. It's unreal. But the
Right.
thing is, if I leave the UK for just a few days, I can go down 2 dress sizes in a week and stuff myself stupid while I'm abroad. But as soon as I come
Yeah.
back here, the weight comes straight back on. The symptoms subside. I lose shitloads of weight. My hair stops falling out. My
Right.
sister's just been over to Texas to see 2 boys exactly the same thing. She lost shitloads of weight. Her hair stopped falling out. She had no symptoms. She's come back to the UK. She feels like shit again within 3 days.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
because every country has their own operating system. And if we're
that's
not
right.
attached to that system, the
Yeah.
symptoms die back then when we come back to our own country, it starts again.
Yeah, and so there is obviously deals between them, especially in the Five Eyes countries, I
Yes.
imagine, and they can
Yeah.
easily switch you over. But only, I guess, this is what I find, even with a significant
If
trip
you go to
within the same
Bangladesh, it kind of
country,
dies back completely.
anywhere you go, just changing rooms in your house can have an effect on your targeting. It takes a little while, and my spin on that is this: like I found this. If imagine, I mean, if you get hit a lot and they're hitting you constantly, try this in your house. Think about this. Where's your head in the house? And think about an AI that records where your head stays in the house. Now imagine your house as a 3D model and a heat map of where your head is in the house, right? And they could see where it stays more time. So me in front of the computer, mine would be a big ball in front of the computer, right? And then, be in the kitchen where I'm making stuff and on the toilet and in the shower, right? All these places. But if you're walking down your hallway or in a room, just try sticking your head in a place that your head doesn't usually sit, right? And you'll find that if you're getting tinnitus, it'll probably just die. And it'll take a second for the system to find your head again. And the reason is because the system predicts where you're going. It's predicting where you're going.
Like patterns,
And
yes.
if you really screw up that pattern, all of a sudden it takes a little while to log on. It's only going to give you a moment's reprieve, but you'll notice. And I've done these tests. I do stupid things all the time. Like I'll be walking down the hallway and I'll just go and put my back up against the wall, and then all of a sudden it stops, and I'll just sit here for 5 seconds, still nothing. 10 seconds, still nothing, and then it goes, "Ooh, there it is." And it's just like that's the AI logging back onto your head. Like it's so funny, and so
Stealth down your corridor.
yeah, you can imagine it's like
Shit we have to do.
ninja-ing, right? We're ninja-ing. It's called ninja-ing. And so and so some people have mentioned that they tried getting rid of their I think Renee mentioned she turned off her power and nothing, and there was no improvement. Now look, it's a multi-vector system. And let me go
Smart
back.
meters are a fucker. The thing with smart meters, she says she's got a smart meter there. The thing with smart meters is they're not only connected to your house, they're connected to every single smart meter for miles around, and they're all pinging signals to each other every few seconds. Correct. Your house is picking up the signal for every other smart meter in your area.
It's a mesh network.
It's a circuit. So
Correct.
if your house powers off, everybody else's is still on and you're getting pinged with their signals.
That's right. And so, but there's so many vectors, and I fully believe that this is true. It's a multi-vector system. It will use the EMF. It does use the towers. It can use, but it does use the wiring in the house, as Christina has said. I think, it's a very resilient system. They can hit you inside and outside, which proves there has to be an external mechanism, that's where cell towers and stuff are going to be heavily used, especially in areas like cities and so on. And then if you go out of that area, then you've got the satellites as the fallback, So, and then they've got drones, and then they've got all various kinds of things like your Wi-Fi and so on, which is possible. But when it comes down to it, this isn't complicated. As I've shown, I've been able to activate one of these fibers. So I want to just, for those people who have joined recently, everyone needs to get themselves a cheap microscope or a jeweler's, what do you call it? A jeweler's something. It's got a name. One of those little magnifiers. And check their skin for Morgellons fibers. Look up Morgellons. Everyone, it's not a delusional disease. It is very real. The reason why the medical establishment will not treat this is because they want you absolutely addressable. They want every part of your body addressable, right? And this is what this bacteria does. A jeweler's loop. That's right. I knew there was.
Get one with an LED light on it. They're about £10 on eBay and Amazon.
And I recommend I'm more for something like this, which is a little one with a
Yes,
screen and stuff,
they
and then
are
you can
really
take
good.
photos of it and you can show it to people, and then they can confirm whether or not what you're seeing is indeed this modified bioweapon that we've all got inside of our bodies to make us addressable via electromagnetic frequency. This is what we're talking about, people. This is what we have in our bodies. It's not
I have to
nanobot,
pee.
it's synthetic biology. No worries. I'll hold the fort.
I have to pee.
Yeah. We'll see you in a second. Um, and so this is what we're talking about. So I've been pushing this in my articles recently. I've done a few posts. I've done one that said, "Look, I'll give you the steps." Basically, right? You want to get a microscope. You want to get a cotton bud, like a microscope. This one cost me $50. Like you can get one $50 or $100 with a screen on it. Like from go on one of these Chinese sites, you'll get it for cheap as. And so then you get yourself a little cotton bud and you spray some alcohol on it or dip it in alcohol and then just rub it over your arm. Now, my mate Stefan over at TI1 Voice, bless him, he has been targeted for 9 years since 2017. He's been going through this hell. And I've been going, mate. There's some bacterial component to this. There's some kind of growth that we've got on in us. Like I'm showing him all the fibers, and he's like, nah, nah, nah. And I'm like, yeah. I said, yeah, get a microscope. And he said, okay, because he's a reasonable man, Stefan. And he's like, yeah, like I'm all for science. Let's check it out. And so he got himself one, and it arrived last night. And then he's messaged me today and gone, oh, I've got the same thing. And I said, I know. Everyone does. It's the biggest mystery that people have not realized in the TI community, that everyone is infected with this, that makes us hyper sensitive to electromagnetic frequencies. And they can target them. They can target them in on any part of your body. And targeting them makes that bacteria more virile. It makes it grow more prolifically through those cells. And if you get hit in one place for a long period of time, you will end up with more and more of these micro antennas that act as
Yes.
piezoelectric and as electrical conductors. And so when you couple those two things together, you have what is a weapon. They can induce anything from vibration to static to heat to sound, like tinnitus, like to V2K.
Hmm.
Yeah, they can. And that's why my
They
H2O2
can
treatment,
dehydrate you with it.
the H2O2 treatment, the hydrogen peroxide, that's why it works. That's why I've got hardly any voice to skull, because I use a 3%
I wanted to ask you,
in the
how
nose.
much do you dilute it? How much do you dilute?
Okay, I
Because
recommend
I've
for the
got
first
peroxide.
time, usually I'd put it with half distilled water and say 1.5% hydrogen peroxide, but I use a 3%. I'm hardcore. It hurts and it buzzes and stuff and crackles and that. And I do my nose, 1, 2 spray, and then hold back for 30 seconds, let it run. You want to head back as far back and it should run down the back of your throat. Do it 3 sprays in each nostril while inhaling. And then I do my
Okay.
ears, 1, 2, 3, or 4, and let it pull and sit there like that for until the crackling stops, which is going to be 5 minutes or something possible.
How long do
3,
you use the
and then
1.5
it's done.
solution for?
How long? A 1.5, like in the ears or in the
Yeah,
Oh, it's like I said,
up
you
the nose
judge
and
it by the
just a
crackle.
few days.
Oh,
Okay,
how
and then just
long
swap
do you
out
use it
every to the
for?
3.
Use it when you need it. If you start getting voices
No,
again,
I meant sort of like. No, I meant sort of like how many days? Do you sort of like do 3 or 4 days on the 1.5 and then move up to the 3%?
at the moment,
Do you do half and half peroxide?
I probably do a nose thing probably twice a week, maybe every 3 days. I
Okay.
probably do the ears once a week. At the moment, I
I
don't need
started
to.
doing the peroxide thing in my ears, and they turned everything up really high, and it just because they
So
obviously don't
it
want
might
getting rid of it.
exacerbate it to start with. It might exacerbate it to start with, but it will if you stick to it and do it And you can do it as often as every day. You can do that
I
nose
just
thing
use
every
neat
day.
peroxide.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so that's why that works, because those fibers are iron content in them. The iron content
Okay.
is explosive when you add it. Because I've done a video of this under a
Oh, I
microscope. If you put
see.
those fibers into hydrogen peroxide, or put hydrogen peroxide into them with water, they just start exploding because the iron
Ah,
oxidizes instantly. That's why you got
that's why they
oxyactin.
fucking turned everything up. I started doing this about a week ago, and
Yep.
fuck me, they turned everything up so high. I was just
Yeah.
tortured to shit for 2 days, so I had to stop doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so,
They don't want me doing it.
I mean, here's the thing, right? And that's the thing to understand, people. These fibers are not they're not worms, they're not nanobots.
No,
They are
no.
simply fibers that are proteins that have been expressed out of your cells, out of these bacterias. The bacteria produces them. It's like a flagellation, it's like an engine, and it
I
pumps out.
don't think, but I don't think, David, I don't think they are just fibers. I don't
I,
think they
I
are
agree.
just fibers. I think there is another element to them, because
They've been
otherwise they
tested.
wouldn't be able to react to the, yeah, but they wouldn't be able to react to the signals if there wasn't something else going on with them.
That's piezoelectric Stalin. And this is the thing. That's what I'm saying. Everyone's gone down this path of this high tech data. The only thing that's technical is
So
the
is
being
it the
able to
piezoelectric
that.
element of it that's, is it the piezoelectric element
It's
of them that's allowing
piezoelectric.
them to use them as the, yeah, but is it the piezoelectric element of these fibers hijacking our keratin and collagen and iron? Is that what allows them to use them as the internal antenna system for their signals?
Okay. So try to explain that. I personally think the majority of the attacks aren't actually coming from, I reckon I've got two different types of attacks that occur. I've got very focused attacks, which I put down, and I've written this in my my article called Piezoelectric and Pulsed EMF, or gigahertz frequencies or
Yes.
something. Um, Piezoelectric elements plus targeting equals piezoelectric elements plus gigahertz frequencies. Now, I'll explain what I mean by that. The piezo elements I've explained. These
I can't
strands are
definitely.
made of keratin and collagen. That has been a peer-reviewed article actually has that in it. Morgellons fibers being made of keratin and collagen. Collagen and keratin both happen to be very piezoelectric, especially in a form that is like a strand, like a ribbon, which is what we find. We find
Yeah.
ribbons, and we find also more um, round, whatever you call that, conical. And so you get those two. Okay. But they're piezo, which means the form of their actual molecular makeup means that when you hit it with an electrical field, that it will convert the electricity into movement, right? And if you move them,
Right.
it'll turn that movement into electricity. So this is a
Okay.
two-way problem, because if these are on your nerves and you start moving your arms and all of a sudden you start getting electricity being formed in your circuits, right, in your
Yeah.
muscles and stuff, then you can start to feel
Yeah.
really weird. Some of you might have noticed like your jaw, and when you do that, that you get a crackling in the ears, and that can be that you've got these fibers all through here in your muscles,
Yeah.
and that's producing electricity, which then gets picked up by your ears. So I get clicking when I do this. It's like a crackle.
That clicking in the jaw is also a long stage Lyme symptom.
Yeah, and that's why though. I'm telling you why.
Yeah.
Movement
Yeah.
creates electricity, and like the
Yeah.
electricity creates in movement. The electricity is part of the
Yeah.
electromagnetic spectrum, but they've also got the ion
Okay.
content. So magnetic fields also are affected by
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense now.
affecting them. So what I think is, I think you're right about the electricity thing. But have you noticed that the attacks that you get when you're sitting at your desk or you're walking around your home are different to the attacks you get in your bed? Right?
Yes.
I think the ones that you've got at home, they are MIMO more likely. They are MIMO beams. They're bouncing in, they're coming into your home. They use constructive interference, multiple beams constructing into a single point on your body, and they can hit an area like this. Whereas when
Mm.
you go to bed, those vibration attacks, they're not small. they feel like they're more likely your electrical grid, like you're saying, right? Because they're a bigger area and they're more likely magnetic attacks. And that's why they feel low vibration, low vibration. They feel like there might more shake in you. They call it like rock the baby style, right? It's like
Yeah.
someone shaking your bed. Okay. Then, but the ones that you get during the day, they're more focused, tight. They are more constructive interference coming together, and that can be explained by our telecommunications grids. And so, those are the two sort of vectors that I sort of see, and it's all interacting with these fibers. That is, we have piezo,
Yeah.
electric, and highly conductive as well because they've got the iron content, collagen,
Uh-huh.
iron, and keratin. Collagen, keratin being piezo, and iron being highly magnetically attracted. And so, yeah, isn't that amazing?
Have you ever tried using a big fishing magnet?
For what purpose?
Back in 21, they were hitting my spine really hard one night in bed. And
Yeah,
the old engineer that was helping me with some of my work, he said, look, get yourself a big fishing magnet that's got about a 500 kilo pull to it.
yeah,
Get yourself two of them. Are they bastards if you get them stuck together and you get your fingers in the way you can do yourself a lot of damage, I can tell you. But I stuck one at the bottom of my spine. This one night they were hitting me really hard and it was so painful. I was lying on my stomach in bed. And I
yeah,
grabbed one of these magnets and I put it on the base of my spine and it instantly stopped it.
yeah.
And I had that relief. Nah, I
That's a giant
had
earth.
that relief
That's a giant earth
yeah,
magnet. Look at this thing.
for a
Like
couple of weeks.
this thing's good.
Yeah.
I use that as well. If they're hitting
Oh,
me
I
in a
got a
place,
big fucker.
yeah, it's giant, eh? And then I've got these other
Fine,
ones.
it stopped working.
These are great. These little numbers that I bought, which are just tiny little,
Oh, are those the
they're tiny,
Deodynam?
they're neodymium, and they're amazing. Like they're very, very strong. Like they can sort of go through your finger. See, this is still,
Yes.
yeah, and
What are they good for?
they're great for a lot of
Are they
things.
the
If you've got,
temple jobs?
yeah, hey, do you get the temple as well?
Yeah, yeah.
The crawl?
Oh, I get it all, man.
Okay. Do you have any fillings that are sus?
Depending on who's on duty. No, but I tell you what, I have found a chip and I've got an X-ray and I think I published it. I had a
Yeah.
private X-ray done in
Yeah.
2021, actually. It showed up a fucking chip in my jaw. My dentist said, and he said,
Yeah.
oh, it's a bit of filling. I said, look, fuck off. You and I
Bullshit.
both know
Yeah.
what this
Yeah.
is. And I
Yeah.
said, look, I said that it tried to work out of my gum. I said, I ended up picking it with a needle. It's wrapped. I said, whatever it is wrapped and coated in thick black plastic. I said, that is not a fucking filling. Take it
How,
out. Or I'm not
how,
qualified
how
to do
big
that.
was it?
And he wouldn't
How
do
big
it.
was it? 'Cause-
It's fucking tiny, but it's wrapped in thick black plastic coating.
oh wow.
And
Okay.
it
So
looks on
also,
the X-ray. I'll
yeah,
repost the X-ray tomorrow, but on the X-ray, it looks like it's a tiny, weeny little antenna
yeah.
put in the gum next to my tooth. And that tooth
So
next to
yeah,
it, the dentist drilled a hole in the side of my tooth and then filled it. So it's
yeah.
obviously a two-piece unit.
That's
I got him
it.
to take out whatever was
Yeah.
in my tooth and he
Yeah.
just drilled it out and he said, I can't see anything, it's all powder. But he left it in my gum, so it's still in there. But I'll repost the X-ray tomorrow. But it's the only
So
X-ray I've ever had that has been messed with.
so I reckon you're it's spot on. So I'll explain I've written about this as well. The same thing. I had a abscess appear in here underneath my
Yeah.
canine, right down here,
Uh-huh.
and it just started to come out. And I was like, that's weird. And I hadn't had any dental work done for ages and ages and ages. But anyway, I went to the dentist and they said, oh, I'm not sure about that. You'll have to go to the doctor. I went to the doctor. They said, I'm not sure about that. You'll have to go to the dentist. And I'm just like, okay, so none of these cunts know what they're talking about. Okay. And so I'm like, okay, cool. And eventually it started to work. Whatever this thing was, it was getting bigger and bigger. And it was sore. And I was like telling my doctor, yeah, it's really sore. She's like, come back in 2 weeks. I come back in 2 weeks. And she's like, how's that thing going as soon as I walked in the door? how's that thing going with your tooth? And I'm like, "Oh, I started going like this with my tongue." I'm like, oh yeah, it's really still there. And then all of a sudden, this thing pops out of it, and this is out of my gums, out along the bone line, like where the bone would have been. And this thing pops out of it. It's 5 millimeters by 5 millimeters square. It looks like tooth on one side, and the other side, it's got grey cement, like stuff cement to stick to something, like it was stuck to the inside of my jaw, inside under the
Oh my
gums,
god!
and this thing had worked its way out. And then I've gone, what the fuck is that? And she's gone, this is my doctor. She's looked at it, she's gone, oh, oh, wow, look at that. And she's gone like, bin, straight into the sharps bin.
Yeah, we don't want him
And I
finding
went,
out what it is.
what? And it took me 2 weeks to go,
I
she
reckon
just
that was
threw
probably a
away the fucking
motherboard chip.
evidence. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had one
Amazing.
of those inside my vagina, and I managed to get it out, and my sister saw it. And
Yeah.
I was in the shower, and it slid down my leg, and I called my sister in. I was at my sister's, staying at my sister's, and I called my sister. I was like, "Come in the fucking bathroom, quick! What the fuck is this?" I took it off my leg, and as we were looking at it, a splash of water hit it down the plug hole. I tell you what, we took that plug hole to pieces. We took the fucking bath to pieces. It was gone. I was so pissed off. It was a
So,
motherboard. It was about
yeah,
2 to 3 millimeters square with hooks on the side. They'd attached the fucking thing to my G spot, and they were giving me
yeah,
orgasms with it through the night.
it's thick,
God, it was a
isn't it?
fucking nightmare for about 4 months until I found it, got it out,
Yeah.
and realised what they'd done to me. And that was just hell on earth. There's somebody
Okay.
asked a question here about nano silver. It
Oh,
does fuck all.
Christina, I wanted to mention your amazing set of interviews that you did with, is it Kimberly over at Unveiling Shadows?
Yes. Yeah, Kimberly
Yeah,
knows me.
so amazing. So if anyone who's here
They're
hasn't
very long.
seen, have it, they are worth. Hey, Christina's got some more stories than you believe. But
And that's
and
only a little bit.
I know, right? I mean, this is the thing, mate.
Oh,
But
I have so much to tell people.
you've been at
Eventually,
this
when they stop fucking around with my shit, I'm actually amazed that they've allowed us to do this, because every time I try and do videos, everything crashes. Every time I try,
yeah,
I haven't been able to talk to my sister on the phone properly
yeah,
for about 5 years. She spent 2 years with nobody able to get her on the phone. It's hit or miss whether people can call me on my mobile, on the landline. It's just a nightmare. And now
absolutely.
they're controlling my internet. It's just a nightmare. I've had to buy myself a separate camera so I can make the films on that and then try and upload it to the internet, which is proving difficult at the moment. But I am going to get around it at some stage. So
Yeah. So,
I will
I
be
mean,
putting a lot of videos.
the way I see it is if you're running anything but Linux, and even certain distributions of Linux are compromised, like your common ones, your Ubuntu and that, they can get straight into. I've found you need a hardware that's not, older hardware is better, because I reckon they can't get into the back doors of a lot of the older hardware. And removing your
That's why the
Wi-Fi.
police kept using Windows 7 for years.
Yeah, right. Yeah, get out of
They,
Windows.
they
Don't
only
get on
swapped
Windows.
out from Windows 7 a few years ago here, the
Yeah,
police.
yeah, doesn't surprise me. Yeah, so get onto Linux, and like I use Manjaro and that, and I find it's fantastic. I haven't had any hacks since then. But I'm on a Dell, funnily enough, but my new Dell I can't use. The new Dell's got like a backdoor straight into it. Doesn't matter what you install on it, they can get straight into the hardware. And so that's what I mean. Like a
Apple
lot of
devices
these
are
now, yeah, they've put a lot of these backdoors straight into your hardware, so they can get straight to your hard drive and just screw it. Which is a
yeah.
problem, like, and so that's why I use old hardware, but it runs well, man. I'm quite happy with it. And I run it inside a Faraday cage as well, and just run the cables out from it, my old laptop. And so, yeah, there's little tricks that you learn. And so, yeah, so today is a special day, because as I've said, we get more confirmation every day that what we're dealing with is not just an external EMF attacks. They're not just targeted attacks. They're not people with backpacks aiming them at you. We're talking about a
No,
combination of two things. There is elements in your body, and I'm not talking about nanobots. I'm talking about actual
it's the
growth
nanobots, man.
nanobots. And then and essentially, yeah,
Don't get me started on those nanobots.
yeah, yeah. No, but what we're talking about is synthetic biology.
Look
That
at
is
you, Wabbit.
yeah. Genetically modified bacterial strains to produce fibers in your body. Now, here's the thing: people like if you want to know, like that's all the hoo ha about transhumanism and how we're going to have like mobile phones inside. Like we've got mobile phones inside our heads. This is how they've done it. They have
I've got a mobile phone
synthetically,
inside my vagina. It's been there for years. Come on, we've all got
exactly.
them.
Yeah, and the vibrations turned up really high as well. And so, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's such a dog's act, isn't it? Like what? Like who dreams up these things? And like it just makes me just sort of sick to the stomach, quite physically. Like to think that someone's sitting there going, "Oh yeah, I can't wait to get like to grow these fibers out
What
of their
people need to
genitals so
do,
that we can stimulate them against their will." Like, what the hell is wrong with these people? Oh my gosh.
what people need to do is this would be a really good way to introduce people to exactly what it is we are facing and what they've been doing and how long they've been doing it. On my
Right.
page in my notes, if you scroll down for months, you will see I posted a video off YouTube that is, I can't remember what the exact title is, but it's the last Nazi bunker that was found on the Czech border in
I've seen this.
2022.
It's a YouTube.
Now, you can go on YouTube and find it.
We'll
I
find it.
will
We'll
try and
put it in
repost
the
it
notes
over the
later.
next few days.
We'll put it in the
Yeah.
notes.
Now,
Yeah.
the thing
We'll
is,
have it.
that video, they went into that bunker and they found in situ the experimental rooms that the Nazis were using with certain types of prisoners from a camp that wasn't listed anywhere. They were doing experiments with chemical compounds that were breathed in by these subjects in glass
Correct.
cages, and
Yeah.
they were using particular frequency modulations to activate those chemical compounds within their bodies to control brain function.
Yeah.
Now, they started the experiments when the war ended, and it's the real reason we had the war. There were
Yeah.
116,000, was it 1,116 scientists were shared out between the Americans, the British, and the Russians. And the
Mm,
Chinese were already working with the Nazis on their own programs.
mm,
They were ahead of everybody else. But the Russians and the British and the Americans, the Russians did their own, the Chinese did their own, the Japanese were involved as well. But the Russians and the Americans and the United Kingdom, they've worked together since the 1930s on these programs. By the 1950s, they were ready with all this shit. And that's what the vaccination programs were about from the 1950s. They also brought in supermarkets, ready made meals,
yeah.
fast food started to come out, and it's all been contaminated. Then in the
Right.
1970s, all those different programs started in the 60s with the drugs taking over South American countries, and the people that were in charge, they all turned into fucking psychopathic monsters. It's all part of the programs and experiments for control. All the drugs that came out, it was the CIA that started the coke. It wasn't the South Americans that said, hey, we've had this coca plant for thousands of years. All of a sudden, we're going to grow immense amounts of intelligence and realize that we can actually make drugs with this. And if you go through the elements required to make cocaine, there's no fucking way that people who were living in the jungle knew how to do that shit. It was the CIA.
No, but
And
they used to
everybody that
put it
was
on the
running it in
leaves.
those countries, they were monsters. And it was
Yeah.
all part of the programs. Then in the 70s, they started putting towers up in school playgrounds, telling everybody it was for better television reception. Now, I was
Right.
8 years old. In
Yeah.
1973, I was 8 years old. In my street, straight up the top of the hill was my school with the tower in the playground. In a direct line of sight from that tower was right in the centre of town was the British Telecom telephone exchange. There was a street in the middle at the end of my road that had a chip shop in it, and I used to go in there about 3 times a week. After that school playground tower went up, every time I went in the chip shop, I fainted. After about 30 seconds of standing in a queue waiting for my chips, I just used to pass out and fall backwards. It was so regular, I expected it when I went in there. It never happened anywhere else. It wasn't until last year when I started researching all those towers and what year they went up, I realised, fuck me, that tower was in a direct line of sight to the telephone exchange from my old school playground, and that chip shop was right in the middle of that line of sight. So British Telecom have been involved with these programs right from the onset, and they are involved. Yeah, they're involved with the frequencies that are bouncing off of these towers.
Yeah,
It's
and the
it's
power
government. It's
companies
classified.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly right.
yeah.
All the
These
utilities.
programs have been in place since the 1950s.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. I totally
People
believe
have
what
been
you're saying.
injected.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
people have
Makes
been injected through vaccines, vaccination programs, food supplies, through
yeah,
dentistry injections.
probably
We've all
water as
been messed with on operating tables, through
yeah,
emergency operations, routine operations,
right.
surgeries, injections, vaccinations, holiday vaccinations. Even our pets are fucked with now. Animals. When I was growing up,
Right,
dogs died of cancer. They didn't die of cancer. Dogs
yeah,
died of old age or they got run over. And the
exactly,
same with
right.
cats. They died of
Yeah,
old age or they got run over. You'd get every now and again, you got one with a canker lump, but it was very rare. Nowadays, the dogs have got all the same illnesses that humans have got. They didn't have liver disease and kidney disease and cancers and all this kind of shit and
that's what I
endless
mean.
fucking ear infections.
This is like
They've all got
ambient.
Morgellons in them and
This is
Lyme
yeah,
disease.
exactly. And that's
I've
right.
got
No,
my dog on
dogs definitely.
doxycycline as well. He's improving. I've
Yeah,
been on doxycycline now for 3 weeks. A load of my
yeah.
symptoms that I've had really badly since 2010, most of them are gone.
And so
I've
this is
started
quite
the
common.
herbal.
This is quite common. You
I've
know it's
started the
targeting.
herbals as well.
You know it's targeting because, I mean, this is the thing. If you're getting targeted and you've got someone else in the house, they're getting hammered as well. Like, especially if they're using these lines, it's just the difference is they might focus it in more on you, but they're still getting ambient spill off. And this is why you end up with generational targeting also, and people saying
Yeah.
that they're feeling the same things. They're not gonna it's not gonna be the same exact experience, but because you're next to someone who's getting targeted, of course you're gonna get hit as well. These beams aren't like their MIMO's getting to a point where it's like laser, right? You know, the more elements you add into a MIMO array, the tighter you can make that focus. So the way it actually works is
Yeah.
usually each aerial's getting sent out in a shape that's like a lobe, right? But as you add more, it focuses them down, but then you get these spill offs on the
Have you
edge.
found anything that comes in a triangular shape?
In what sense?
Is there any kind of laser or any kind of these
Oh,
beams
I
that
see.
can come in a triangular shape? Because I
Triangle.
had a piece
I've
of
not
mylar
noticed
up at my
that.
window for one night,
Yep.
and it ended up with 3 spots that were triangles. And that night, I was fucking burnt to shit in my bed. My hips
Wait,
and my
really?
legs, exactly in the line of sight where there's holes appeared in the mylar blanket up at my window. So I ended up
Yeah.
I've got a rubber sheet up at my window now, and it stopped everything.
Yeah. It sounds like some form of targeting system. I've seen Stacy as well post pictures of her fabric that she put up on the window, and it ended up with all holes through it as well. So it's
Yeah,
funny,
yeah,
isn't
yeah.
it? I mean, you could do that with Mimo, or you could do that with Microwave. Could possibly do that, but generally they're not. And this is the thing that people miss. The reason why you need the infection that we're talking about, that we've been talking about, the strands, is because they can keep underneath the levels that they've set for themselves
Yes,
of EMF
yes.
radiation without it being ridiculous. Because otherwise, they're going to have to say, "Oh yeah, no, we can just use as much power as we want." Well, like they say they've got their limitations. They stay within those bounds, but we are ultra sensitized by this infection, right? That's what
Yeah.
makes us. And as you get your immunity falls, that bacterium will take
That's why they
over
don't
more.
want us killing it back.
Yeah, and
That's
they
why they
can do
don't want
that.
us killing it back, because it
Yeah,
desensitizes you.
correct. And they can localize this. They can localize where they want it to grow So they hit you heavily in one area with that, then I think then the cell probably all can't handle it as much, and so that bacterium can thrive. Also, stress is a big one. I imagine sugars and stuff like that don't help, and this
Yeah,
is why people find
yeah,
benefits
no.
from, this is
Shit
why we have
diets don't help. Shit diets,
exactly
high sugar, stay away from soft drinks, everything. Anything that's got sugar in it, anything that's unhealthy, stay away from it.
that's it. Yeah,
The better you can eat, the healthier you're going to be, and the easier it is for you to fight this.
yeah, and I think getting out of your common box. Get out of your box. Go for walks in nature. Go down to the
Yep.
beach. Get out. Like, and if you can get away from the towers for a time, that's a very, very good thing to do.
One thing I did find
Yeah,
One thing I did find, if you're being hit really hard physically, go swimming, and especially swim on your back, because I don't know what it is, but it's obviously something about having the back of your head and your spine immersed under the water. It stops the physical attacks. It doesn't stop the V2K conversation babbling, but it
yeah,
does stop the physical attacks until you get out of the water. So if you can stay in a pool for an hour, you've got an hour where you can fuck around in the water and enjoy yourself and actually relax because your body isn't being hit at all. They hit you fucking hard as soon as you stand up out and get out of the water. But as
yeah.
long as you're immersed in that water and you're swimming on your back or floating around in your back, it's bliss.
So let me tell
It's
you,
bliss.
since I put out the thing about the fibers and the gigahertz frequencies, my targeting equals fibers and that, they've been hitting me in the neck, and my whole neck is scaly and it's all patchy and it's full of all those fibers. So they've just been targeting just there on the top of the spine, and my neck just
Yeah.
feels like scales. And the thing is, like, you can't really see it, right? It just
No.
looks like a neck. But if I
Oh
feel
my
it,
God, you're turning into a lizard, man.
it feels like scales. It actually feels like scale. And so and it's in the worst place right in the center of the back, but then I found I did some research on that, and people this is where a lot of
Stand up.
people
Are you growing a tail?
No, I'm in my undies, actually, and so I'm not gonna stand up. And so there's my pants there, see? And so,
Oh, they're nice. I like those.
they match my bedding as well.
That's
Look
a
at
hot
them.
piece of fashion, man.
Isn't it, right? Yeah, I got them from some chick boutique store, right? And I was like, because I was
I'd
off in
wear
the
those.
Rockstar.
Those are nice.
Yeah, they're rad. Anyway, and so,
Very
yeah,
70s.
I mean, I don't get to get, indulge in my high fashion. What I was gonna actually talk about, um, right, was this. Right, with this neck thing, right, I found this. You're like, "I'm getting hit in this place. I'm getting hit in this place." It's like, I need to put something like, you know, like, "Let's get a big chunk of metal and stick that over it." And I was like, "No, that's not fucking doing anything." The magnet sometimes works, but I found this. I just put my hood
Have you
on,
tried a wool pillow? Wool
and
pillow.
just doing this
Have you
is like,
tried a
"Oh, yeah,
wool-filled pillow?
that's enough to stop it." It's just having movement, because that's MIMO. This is how I know it's MIMO. Your multiple beams have to cross over in a certain place, and they can hit any place in 3D space. Now, if it was a direct beam going straight through the walls and straight into you, then they could just hit you regardless, right? It wouldn't matter if you put a piece of material over it. But
Mm.
this is enough to stop a MIMO beam if it's moving, because the targeting system has to lock on to that area. And that's where all the advancement is. Like, basically, we've got this bacteria growing fibers to make us sensitive, and an extremely advanced targeting system that is in the form of MIMO and stuff like that. And then we've got the big general
I've just
hits,
had an
which they do
idea.
through your electricity and stuff. And so that's
I've
basically
just had an
the
idea.
grid. Yeah,
I just had an idea.
go
The
on.
old engineer that I was doing a load of research with back in 2019, 20, and very early 21, he
Yeah.
said to me, in the war, in the Second World War, they were using foil strips that they were dropping from planes to interfere with the German radar. Now,
Moving metals.
if we created like a hanging fan thing that you could put on the ceiling with these strips of
Mobile.
foil, and you
Yeah.
and you had to, and you could like just stick pieces of paper or a big piece of card with all these bits of foil. If you had
Yeah,
a fan and put it above your head, say like a meter or 2 meter square board with these bits of foil, if you
yeah.
had a fan and it was just blowing lightly to move them away and move them around slightly, would that interfere with the signal so that you could have a bit
Absolutely,
of
it would. Absolutely, it
respite?
does, and I've proven that actually. So one of the tricks I used to use is
Ah,
getting metallic metallic fabric, like your copper
yep,
fabric that you can buy.
yep.
And you can get the silver one as well. And I used to put that up, as like along a wall and then just blow the fan at it, so it was doing this, so constantly moving, and that would
I saw
interfere.
that on the back of your door once.
Yeah, and that does work. It's just
Yeah.
getting it practical
Oh,
is the
right.
hard
Okay.
bit, like, so that it's not like a pain in the ass. It's okay in the summer, and it's not great in the winter. You don't wanna have a fan on in the winter. That's the problem. And so, yeah, but it does work. Interfering with
Okay.
the space actually this is another thing I've noticed, like, say you're getting a pain in the heart, say they're targeting somewhere on your body. I can do this
Mm.
in front of my face. It doesn't even have to be over the heart. Just do this, and that's enough to interrupt it. And I'm like, wow, why is it when I'm waving my hand
Ah,
anywhere in this space, it stops the attack from getting to me? And just
okay.
try it, like, and you'll notice you'll be like, what? That's weird, because I'm not even protecting the area, but it stops it. You know why? Because there's beams flying around. They all construct at that point, and if you break any of them, it
Ah,
has to recalibrate. And so it's always recalibrating to your movement, and it also caches where your positions are, so it knows. So when you go to a place that you've already been before, it knows it's gonna go there first, but then as soon as you go to somewhere different that it's not used to, it takes a little bit longer to log onto. And then if you add stuff into your environment, it takes a
stealthily
little.
along the corridor.
That's right, yeah, yeah. Just try it. Just walk along
throwing
like you're
yourself
Hogwarts.
into the throwing yourself into the cupboard in the corridor. I'm gonna stick my head in here and I'm gonna
Yeah, yeah,
try that
yeah,
drawer and see.
into weird positions. Yeah, yeah, I do it all the time, and I'm just like, "Yeah, yeah, you're done very quick, are you? Come on, hurry up, get that." But I imagine this is why they want, and when you listen, if you go read the rhetoric about 6G, they're like, "Oh, it's gonna have AI on board at our cell towers." That's what that's about. That's about putting the targeting system at the cell tower. So it doesn't have to go from the cell tower back to base and then do its processing and come back so it knows how to hit you. It'll be able to do that at the cell
Mhm.
tower, and that's what they're installing with 6G. And so I'm telling you, things are gonna get much worse when it comes to these targeting systems. They'll get much worse with 6G, and the beams are a
Yes.
lot tighter, and they can bounce through any gaps. You might have it all sealed up now and be getting a good sort of non-EMF environment inside your house, and then they'll put that in and it'll come straight through because it only needs micro, like a
Lead.
millimeter, and it can get through. And so this is why they're installing all this shit, and it's terrifying
Yeah.
because if we think we can't block it now, I imagine what it's gonna be like
It's
when they
connected to
introduce.
this huge satellite system that Musk's got up there as well. It's
As
all. I mean,
well.
he's working with these fuckers. He has done. It's all connected.
Yeah, I
It's all
think
just
some
a
of the
huge system of bouncing beams.
it is, and when it comes down to it, it's this, and this is why I always bring it back to the basics. If I can make one of these fibers coming off my body pulse to an RF frequency, then that proves that all that is needed for this system to work is frequency. Anything that can produce
Yes.
the right frequency at the right intensity in the right focus, right? And pulse can produce a sensation on your body. Without those fibers, you would not feel it. The natural skin would not pick it up, not at these levels, unless you increase the power to a point that would allow it to be felt, which would be an illegal rate of irradiation, and they wouldn't, and you'd pick it up on your stupid little spectrum analyzer. But this sits below the base, the noise level. It just looks like phone communication or anything else. It doesn't look like an attack. It looks just like normal because it's a focus beam, sits below the standard because you have been made electromagnetically sensitive, and that's why you have fibers
Yes.
growing out of your skin, under your
Yes.
skin, in your organs, in your
The,
guts,
the
everywhere.
V2K. You know, when I said that with the V2K stuff in 2020, it was November 2020, I found something on a website, an American guy's website, about using white noise to try and cancel it out. It's never worked for me. But
Yeah.
I found his website, and he was like one of these guys that was selling white noise CDs that he'd specially engineered. It's all bullshit. But he said something on there about finding a radio and tuning it in between stations to get the white noise. And I thought, I'm going to try it. And I had a stereo radio boom box thing in my
Yeah.
kitchen that I played some of my CDs, my tapes on. I thought, I'm going to give it a go. So I tuned the guys that were targeting me and that have been targeting me for the last 20 years. Where I moved to at the time, there was a little woodland behind my house. I was living on a housing estate. There was an industrial estate on the back of it, and about 75 yards from my garden, there was a warehouse. They moved the people out that had been there for years, and they took over that warehouse, and it had an entrance on the top floor of it that came straight out into the woods behind my house. My neighbour, who I made friends with, an old lady, she actually said that just after I moved in, she saw an army tent go up in the woods, and you could see it clearly from her garden. And she said, I can see men moving around in the woods at night. And she said, they're going halfway up that tree that's right in front of your bedroom. You need to check it out. I got fucking photographs of these guys up the trees with equipment pointed into my bedroom window. Now,
That's
well,
insanity.
yeah, they are.
I've
They
had
said
a few people.
there was a military Wi-Fi dish, portable
Yeah.
Wi-Fi dish set up in the woods about 50 yards from my garden. But this
Yeah.
particular day, I tried this experiment, and I was tuning around with my radio, and I hit. I turned the aerial. I don't know whether I did it on purpose, but it was just something that said to me, "Don't have the aerial straight," and I put it at a 45-degree angle. And as I tuned the radio through again, because I didn't find anything the first time, and I put the aerial down to 45 degrees. I don't know anything about communications at all. I'm shit with stuff like that. But I turned it to a 45-degree angle, and then I twiddled the knob again, and I hit 87.5 FM, and fuck me, the conversation stopped coming into my ears, and it started coming out of the speakers of my stereo radio player. I was gobsmacked. My tinnitus went down, the conversation went down to nothing, and it just came out of my radio speakers. And then it happened for nearly 2 weeks. I recorded a load of it on a dictaphone. And then I went down to see the engineer the next day, and I told him about it. He got his radio out. Now, he was 4 miles away from me, and he said, we got his in, I think it was 87.2. Now, when I said to him to start with, he had his aerial up straight, and I said, no, it only works if you've got the aerial at a 45-degree angle, at which point he said, shit, what they're doing is hijacking the radio waves, the bandage of radio and television frequencies to hide their signals. And that was back in 2020. I think that's only one of the ways that they do it. I think there are other ways that they do it. So, are you still there? I can't see you. It's just me on the screen. I don't know whether they've cut you off. Can anybody that's still in there still see me or hear me? If somebody could put a message up, because I've lost David. I can't see him. I'm all alone. Ah, we've lost David. Thanks, Chasey. Well, it looks like we've lost David for the time being. Hopefully he'll come back. But anyway, as I was saying, I found then with the engineer friend, who was also a radio ham in his 70s, he'd been doing it for donkey's years. And he said, what we found proved that they were using the band edge frequencies of existing radio and television frequencies to do their signals. But I think that's only one of the ways they do it. I also think they use the Morgellons fibers that we're all harboring inside our bodies, that's basically hijacking the keratin and collagen within our bodies to grow. and it's then growing out of our bodies. And it is that, as David quite rightly said, people have researched it and examined it, and it is keratin and collagen fibers. So basically, what this stuff is doing, it's a bioengineered stuff that whatever it's been engineered with. Some of it is paired with lime, but I think there's other bacterias, fungals, whatever it is they're using. Lime is definitely one of them, definitely. And I've been treating myself with doxycycline for 3 weeks now, and a load of the symptoms that I've had since 2010, and I've been diagnosed with all kinds of shit, medicated for it, and it's a lot of it's just died back now. And I realized I started going back through all the things that I've been diagnosed with since 2010, and every single one of those things is a symptom of long stage Lyme, which is called neuroborreliosis. And over the last 3 weeks of taking it, when I went on the doxycycline, the first 2 days, oh my God, it was bliss. I slept through the night for the first 2 days. And I haven't done that. I haven't slept properly for 10 years. And it was just really nice. I didn't have to get up to pee at all. I slept right through the night. It was really good. And then day 3, they turned the targeting up, and it's been shit ever since. But the rest of my symptoms have subsided. My feet are better. They don't hurt anymore. I can walk without pain. I used to get really bad shooting pains in my feet that stopped me walking the dog. I don't have that now. The swelling on my ankles that I've had since 2010, that started to go down as well. Loads of other things have improved. General body swelling, feeling like shit. This is a good question, actually. The constant tinnitus. The constant tinnitus is, I believe, and I think David will probably agree with me if we can get him back at any stage, it is as a result of the frequencies that are hitting our bodies. And it's because the Morgellons fibers are piezoelectric, they're picking up the signals and basically electrifying our bodies. And what is happening is the more of this stuff we have in our bodies, and the harder they hit us with their signals, the higher the tinnitus goes, and the louder it gets, and the more intense it gets. And the only time that I've ever found that it drops is when I've been in an exclusion zone. Now, I've done a proper article on exclusion zones, and I explained it in that. Exclusion zones are basically areas that the very wealthy live in, and the people at the top levels working within these programs, their houses aren't hit with the frequencies, and it's got something to do with the electrical grid system that feeds this shit into our houses. Because I've noticed there are certain properties that I can walk past and certain areas I go to, and I've actually tested it by going to a couple of these properties that have been up for sale, and as soon as I've gone into the land where their boundary is, everything drops off. The tinnitus goes, the pressure on my head goes, the pressure on my lung goes. It feels like 20 years ago before this shit started for me. And I tested my theory properly by going to see a house that was for sale in 2023 in Falmouth here in Cornwall, a few miles from where I live. And I stayed there for 3 hours with the owner, and I just didn't want to leave. It felt so good. And I said to him, it feels, obviously I couldn't tell him I was targeted and that, but I said to him, it's the vibration here is lovely, and it just feels so relaxing and wonderful. At the time, I didn't realize that I was in an exclusion zone. I was still experimenting with what it was I was experiencing in other places where I'd felt the same thing. And it was going to that property that made me realize there are exclusion zones. Now, back in 2006 was when I first heard about it. Now, back in 2006, I had no idea I was being targeted. It was only soft targeting then. And that was when I started asking the government questions about chemtrails, and that's when my nightmare started in 2006. But I was dating a millionaire at the time, and I dated him for about 18 months. Now, he lived in a huge mansion in the country, and anyway, I was sitting on the chair outside one day. He was cooking us some lunch, and he said, "Oh, why don't you take your clothes off?" And I said, "Well, I don't want to get seen by, the planes and that, because we live near a military base and they fly around a lot." He said, "Oh, no, don't worry about it. It's an exclusion zone." And he scampered off. When he came back, I said, "What's an exclusion zone. He didn't want to tell me, and I didn't ask, and I never thought about it again until 2023, when I went to this house for sale and I was experimenting with areas that I felt better in, and the signals dropped. And it wasn't until I went to see this house that was for sale, and he was part of the very rich set. I mean, this house was like £1.5 million. It was a country manor. It was beautiful. But I didn't want to leave it. It had woodland with it as well. And then I realised, fuck me, that's what the exclusion zones are. They are areas that are excluded from these frequency signals. And that was when I realised it's connected to the electrical grid system. Now, in 2021, with my old engineer friend, we both worked out through experiments and research. Hi.
Yeah, guess what? Guess what happened? One guess.
What? No way.
It's called arseholism. Yeah, it's a disease, actually, arseholism. The elitist rapist syndrome. That's what it is. It's actually,
Yeah.
pretty severe.
Well, considering the fact that I'd never really done one of these live chats before, I kept things going for you.
Thank you, darling. I thought you got disconnected. I was sitting there going, "Oh no, we've lost Christina." I knew they didn't want her to talk. I knew it. And so, yeah, man. I just had to, I had to restart and everything because, like, they somehow disabled the adapter of my network. So not through software, I imagine. That's an EMP attack on the hardware. And so, which is inside a Faraday cage, mind you, but they're getting better at getting into it because it's just like
it's not working, David.
it's getting there. It's better than without it. I know that. But yeah. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, you were telling a story still. We should wrap up.
I was just explaining to people about exclusion zones and how I found out what they were, and when it was first mentioned to me. But what I was going to say was that the very wealthy people live in properties and areas they're excluded, and this is what cements, pardon me, in my mind, that a lot of it is fed through the electrical grid system because their properties are completely excluded, and they have no-fly zones for military bits. The old President Bush, he's got a complex in Texas. A property in Texas where he lives. He's got a 250-mile exclusion zone, and he's calling it an exclusion zone around his property. No fucking frequencies. No frequencies. So if anybody watching is in that area, take yourself round to where Bush lives with his 250-mile radius of area. And I tell you what, you get close to his house and you'll find out that all of your symptoms will drop off because he's living in an exclusion zone. Now, you can test it for yourselves by going round to... I lived in Plymouth for 2 months back in 2024 because I was made homeless yet again. The university threw us all out and we ended up with nowhere to live for a while. I was at university for a while doing a film and television degree because they wouldn't let me do journalism. Terrified of me talking. But I found that there were a few properties in one particular street that was quite affluent, but I knew that the people that were living there were working at the military bases in Plymouth. There are a lot of them, and for the police. And they're all connected with these programs. Police and military are intrinsically involved with these programs, and they have been for at least 40 years at more or less every single level. And I noticed that this one particular street, and I found it because I was walking my dog at the park opposite these houses. Every time I turned the corner, I'd get halfway down the road and all of a sudden my tinnitus would start to go down to more or less nothing. The pressure on my head would go, the pressure on my lungs would go. And it didn't take me long to realise, right, as soon as I get close to that house, it's going to go down. And I ended up parking myself on a bench for about half an hour one day, just sitting opposite these houses, feeling how wonderful it was not to have this pressure. But again, it cemented the fact that you can walk down the street and be hit to shit until you hit maybe one house, and you'll find that one house has people living in it that are involved with the program, and they don't have the signals sent into their house. And you end up standing in an exclusion zone, and it cuts down all the frequency signals coming to your body because it's not being transmitted at that property.
Mm. Okay.
They do exist.
Mm.
If
Yeah.
you go to a wealthy area, you'll find definitely.
What I've been thinking along these lines is, if like it's a multi-pronged attack, obviously, and there's the EMF from the
Yes.
towers, the satellites, and so on.
Oh
But
yeah, it's not just the electricity. It's coming
yeah,
from all kinds of different places. But in our houses, a
yeah.
lot of it is coming through our electrical wiring systems
So,
through the
so
grid.
let's address that. I
It's
wonder
a
whether
surefire way to hit people. That's
what
why they
about
got rid of lead paint.
you know that you can get filters, line filters, to clear up dirty energy coming through your electrical grid.
Yes.
So I wonder if that'd
Yeah.
work.
There are certain people, a lot of these people that are working within these programs, they have special filter systems for the electricity coming in their house.
Yep.
And I think that's part of it as well, because they're not
So
that
line
stops the
filters,
energy
yeah.
coming down the wires. Yeah.
You can basically run any of the circuits coming into your house, you can run through a simple filter. It's just basically the live and the negative and the earth go into it, and then they
But
come
it's
out.
expensive. If you want to get an electrician in to do it, it's expensive.
It's expensive to get it
And it's not
installed,
something.
and yeah, you'd want one
Yeah.
who was on the books.
Yeah. And it's not something I do myself. When I was 16, I left home at 16 to go to college.
Yep.
And you probably don't remember, I'm 60, but we had 2-bar electric fires back then. Yeah. It decided it wasn't going to work. So I lit up a joint, I used to smoke pot at the time. So I've got this joint and got on the go, and I'm thinking, it's not working. I'll go and touch it and see. Yeah, I touched the element on the fire. It might not have been red and hot, but that fucker was still working. It shot me across the room, and I've been kind of frightened of electricity ever since.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yep. That'll do it.
Yeah, yeah,
Hey,
not a good thing to do.
hey, we're getting to nearly an hour and a half on, so I was thinking maybe we should maybe wind up soon. So
Yeah.
if anyone's got any questions, yeah, chuck them in the thing, in the little message thingy. If anyone wants to say anything, or I've lost all of the chats anyway, like after having restarting again. But
Okay, well, there was a right at the beginning. Chris Stewart said, quick info drop, Muslim groups with foreign money are heavily contributing to the community stalking and mind control program. It's not just the Muslims, trust me.
yeah,
Everybody's involved because it's a money
right.
spinner. There are
It's
so many different aspects to these programs that they all make them money.
and you know what I
We're
think?
used as entertainment,
Yeah.
experiments, all
What
kinds of
joins
shit.
what joins them all together is that they're all elitist secret society and all this sort of little cliques, right?
Yes.
And that's that they all you just gotta think it's just the prissy little rich fox prancing around in their little circles around the world. Like, they don't have boundaries, they don't have borders. They go from one country to another, like, and they have and they do what they wish. These are the people who are controlling these programs and oversee the programs and come up with these glorious ideas that they spend billions of dollars on to make sure that they can do, and then it gets embedded at the highest levels. It's the people, as they say, the spiritually wicked at highest places, or just the materialist, elitist, privileged, overpaid, overrated people in our societies that essentially put more money into destruction than they do
It
into
started off, it's military. It started off as military and secret services, and it's expanded now as a huge business as well. And it's basically the cabal, and it's their way, and it was invented back in the 1930s. The Nazis were experimenting with it as a way to control the populace. They wanted to control people's movements, people's thought processes, people's
yeah,
behaviors. They wanted to modify everybody to control them. And this is a perfect way to do it. And
it
basically,
is,
what we're seeing now with the onset of AI, what they're going to do is use this stuff. And the targeting program, we've all been used for decades as guinea pigs while they've perfected everything. And what they're going to do at the end of it, and we're only a few years away from it now, literally a few years. Once they
yeah,
bring all this in properly and meld it
and
all with the AI properly, because we're already there,
yeah.
they're going to control everybody with it.
we're
And
wired
if
up.
you're a naughty boy or a naughty girl, you
Yeah.
get hit.
Yeah,
Now,
we're
there's
wired up.
Sovereign Souls.
But it's like,
Yes.
it
Sovereign
is,
Souls has asked a question. Do you
synthetic.
know if you can detox this mold, fungus, and bacteria the same as usual, or do we need to make special other efforts? Now, Gecko David has done research and he's got reports on his page and posts on his page that give you the wherewithal, the information you need of how to detox this stuff. You need to use, if you're infected with the Lyme bacteria, which a lot of people are, together with these fibers growing, um, and you can have it for years and not know you've got it because it just gives you symptoms of arthritis, fibromyalgia, aches and pains, bad skin, dry hair loss, all kinds of shit.
Um,
You need to use doxycycline for 4 weeks. And if you're in the UK, it's very difficult to get it out of the docs and out. Mine actually told me it was restricted antibiotic, which it isn't. You just didn't want to give it to me. You can
yeah,
buy it online. Tell them you're going for malaria treatment. You can get it for malaria, for acne, for chlamydia, just whatever you want to tell them you've got. You just fill in a questionnaire and order it. I get a month's supply. I actually got 2 months supply just in case, and I bought some for my dog. I did my dog a blood test, which came back negative. Now, if they've had it for any length of time, if a human has had it for any length of time, your blood is not producing the antibodies to fight it off because it's moved into the central nervous system. So your blood's not full of the antibodies for it once you've
yeah.
had it for a certain amount of time. So it will come back negative. But the way to try it, as long as you're eating properly and you make sure that you keep your gut bacteria up to date with live yogurts, Espuladi,
Mm,
Sakura something or other, Bilardi, S. Bilardi it's called. It's a yeast based prebiotic. You can
mhm,
take that, and it's the only one that the antibiotics won't kill. So you can keep the good bacteria in your body while you're on the antibiotics. And then during the hours, as long as you take live yogurt stuff 2 hours either side of the antibiotics, it won't interfere with the antibiotics working properly. Don't take dairy products at all. 2 hours either side, either before or after of taking the doxycycline because it stops it working properly.
mm.
Anything else but dairy. Just don't eat dairy 2 hours either side of it. But also,
Interesting.
David's also done a piece on herbals to use:
Yeah, like
oregano
more
oil, clove, cinnamon,
natural.
and
Correct.
monolaurin. There's
You have
there's also
that's right,
there's
darling.
also
Hold on, you know my work.
there's a plant called cryptolepis, and it's
Yeah,
used now. Strangely enough, it's John Hopkins in America who are involved in the targeting program
they
experiments.
are. They are
They've
definitely.
they've done a lot of research on plants. Cryptolepis is one, and they've found that it's better than antibiotics for treating Lyme. Now, strangely enough, back in 2023, the end of 2023, I found a herbalist on eBay who makes her own tinctures. Something, I mean, I've been a healer and a clairvoyant for over 30 years, and something drew me to buy in bulk 2 of her tinctures. I got a litre and a half of cryptolepis. I had no idea why I was being drawn to use it. And it was only a couple of weeks ago, and I found this thing online about John Hopkins, and I'm looking at it thinking, cryptolepis, fuck me, I've got a load of that in my cupboard. That's why I must have bought it. But there's another one called Hutunia cordata. Both of these things, John Hopkins have found, are the 2 best herbal things to treat Lyme. So once I finish the doxycycline, I'm going to start using these 2 things as well because I've got loads of it in my cupboard.
Mm.
How I go with these, I'll let you know so that you can do a write up on it.
Yeah, definitely.
But if
I'd
you
love
go onto
to.
David's page, he can tell you how to detox from it.
Yeah, let me just be clear about that. Like, I basically did my research based on the available information. I was going on the idea that it was Borrelia burgdorferi, which is the same bacteria related to Lyme disease. But this is as I think the Clifford Institute, was it that Clifford
Clifford
Corncombe,
Carnicom.
yeah, Cornicom.
Yeah.
He basically calls it a cross-domain bacteria. And what he's saying is it's a multi-faceted infection. And it includes bacteria, but I think there's fungal-like elements. And he's sort of said it like this, that it's a hard one to pin down because it exhibits characteristics of multiple things, and that makes it
Yes. It's
multi-domain.
because they bioengineered it and mixed it with stuff.
Exactly right, and that is right. Make no mistake, this is a bioengineer. It is a bioweapon. They've
Yes.
infected, I think, the entire populace with it, and they can make it come up
Oh, yeah.
strongly in
Yes.
anyone at any given point in time. So if you're not complicit and they don't like what you're doing, they just hit you, and all of a sudden, oh, I don't feel very
Oh,
well.
yeah.
And then all of a sudden you start getting these symptoms. And most people will go, I need to go to the doctor because I've got a sore this, or I think I'm getting ill. And they
Like I did. And then you get diagnosed with stuff you haven't got and they medicate you to shut you up and make you go away so you don't ask questions.
There you are. And then you realize that you got fibers, and then they say, oh, you're a bit crazy. Oh, here, have these antipsychotics to shut you up.
No, I kept quiet about mine.
Exactly. And so don't go to your doctor expecting them to deal with
Don't talk to the police and don't
even
talk to your doctor. They're
dermatologist.
bastards.
Yeah, that's it. There's ways to there's ways and means to get stuff like to fight the infection. But if you start talking about fibers, your doctor will try to have you committed for being crazy. And
Yes.
that tells us something, doesn't it? That tells us that we're onto something,
yeah.
doesn't it,
They want
Christina?
to silence everybody.
They don't want people to know this. This is the information you're not meant to know. This is why only the crazy people have fibers. If you've got fibers, then you're a crazy person. Like, actually, if I can see something and rip them off my body at any given point in time, that's a scientific method. I can show you this any moment of any day. And,
I think
so
1984 was the first person that came up with it, and that's when the first thing came out. I think was 1984 when it came out in the newspapers about this, and
Yeah.
oh, they were schizophrenic, it's delusional, it's not real. Well, it fucking is. You can see photographs of it. What the fuck is that?
It's like, yeah, but it's a delusional
Things, it's
a delusional parasititis. Like, I've got parasites, but I'm delusional about those parasites. It's like, if there's something there,
It's like taking your dog to the vet and covered in fleas, and the vet saying, "No, it's a delusion. There's no
delusional infestation.
Fucking on the dog's
Yeah. No, they do that all the time. Have you thought of putting the dog on antipsychotic that have the same symptoms as an electronic harassment? Oh, yeah. This is
schizophrenic dog.
yeah.
Now they haven't. This is one they haven't started yet. Your dog's got schizophrenia. You need to give him these pills.
Yeah, well, don't give them ideas, right? Because they'll do anything to make a buck of people's misery. And that's basically where we're at.
They've given them arthritis, cancer, kidney disease, liver disease, growth, everything that we get. Dogs now get and cats now get. I mean, it's
yeah. And so that's because, and that comes down to this, doesn't it? It's like they know they've done the tests. And it's funny, all those tests that we used to see in the papers, people who have dogs have, X% more health, because having the dog and having the pet actually makes them a happier person, and their well-being's greater and their health is generally greater because they've got that companionship and all that sort of stuff.
I can have some real deep conversations with my dog.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And that's it. They improve our quality of life. And now, the people who are running, they don't want people improving their quality of life. They want everyone in the shit. They want everyone. No. They want them to hate your neighbours. They want you to hate your children. They want you to hate your parents. They want everyone killing each other.
I do hate my neighbours.
And the whole thing is, we need.
They're all Masons.
You've probably got a good reason then. But generally,
I'm living in the middle of a fucking viper's nest.
Yeah.
It's the only place I could find to rent, and it's in the middle of a fucking Mason viper's nest.
Hey, I wanted to start to wrap this up, but what I wanted to tell some people before I go is, I was just chatting with Christina about it. It is ludicrous. Go onto the the UK Ministry of Defence's document. Look for a Ministry of Defence document called, let me just get the title of it, Human Augmentation, The Dawn of a New
I
Paradigm.
reposted it on my page.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've posted, I'm gonna put it here as well. This document is absolutely ludicrous. Um, get in there and have a look at this document. It's basically going, "Oh, we're the military and and we're governments and our governments, we need to keep people safe and people can't decide to be safe for themselves, so we need to take over your cognition so that we can keep you safe." This is basically the gist of this paper. Right, so you can't
It's
think
scary.
for yourself to keep you safe, so we need to take your mind and control it with an AI because the AI can do a better job of keeping you alive. That's actually what this concept is.
Yeah,
This is the ridicularity that we're walking into
it's
right
very
now.
scary.
Yeah, it
Very
is, isn't it?
scary.
Yeah,
In
and so
1984, I had a guy that I went to school with. Um, we had a conversation about 3 years ago, um, and he joined the army when he left school. And in 1984, I think he was 18, and they brought them in for vaccinations. And he said it went on for 2 weeks. And they had to keep going in, rolling up their sleeve. He said, and the last day they went in and he rolled up his sleeve. And the doctor said, "Oh, no, 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 we're not doing it that way." And I said to him, I said, "They put it in your wrist, didn't they?" And he said, "How the fuck did you know?" And I said, "It's left a lump on your wrist that's never gone down." And he said, "How the fuck did you know?" I've got the same thing on my wrists. That same
wow.
year, I had
Well,
to go in hospital for an operation. And when I came out, I had lumps on both my wrists and they've never got down.
um,
On the inside of my wrists, on both arms. They've never
that
gone down. And he
that
said,
Mhm.
from that moment, I mean, he was meek, mild, and gentle at school. And he said it turned me into a raging killer for 5 years. He said I was violent,
Yeah,
aggressive, angry.
yeah,
Whenever I went out, he said we used to go out on the weekends with the platoon. He said I would beat people and have to be dragged off them. And I never had any idea why I was doing it. He said I was like that for 5 years. And all of a sudden, as quickly as it started, it stopped. And I said,
yeah,
the chips must have stopped working. They must have chipped them. And I spoke to a guy, an ex-army bloke, the year afterwards, and I was asking him a few questions. And I asked him about the chips. And he said, "Look, you join the military." He said, "We're all chips." He said, "They watch us all." He said, "Look, I can't talk to you." He said, "You're right. What the questions you're asking me, you're right. But I can't talk to you." He said, "We're all fucking monitored and it never stops." And he said, "They watch us everywhere we go." He was really frightened. He actually got up and fucked off and left his girlfriend sitting next to me. He was that scared.
yeah.
And he said, "I can't talk to you anymore. They watch us everywhere. It doesn't end."
Can I say a couple of things here? Okay, so first of all, these fibers they produce so movement will produce electricity. This makes you picked up. And will say if you imagine a scanner that can pick up the electrical signature of a person, if you infuse them with piezoelectric and iron combined fibers, which is what we're producing, they basically become the energetic signature is going to be very easy to pick up because
Yes.
basically it's going to carry that out of the body. Like you'll so go all these fibers. So this is how they can track us through radar easier because we create an electrical signature that is greater than what act as repeaters out of our body. And
Yes.
so and movement will actually create electricity, which will create more of an electrical charge on the skin, and that will also make you more visible. And so all they need is a scanner that picks up these electrical signatures and with this infection makes you more traceable, trackable, readable through a radar mechanism. And then essentially, I also wanted to speak about V2K because you talked about the rage and stuff. Like, yeah, I think they would have been doing this to create super soldiers and stuff. I think a lot of the military, if they're sending them over, they'd probably inject them and say, "Oh, we have to vaccinate you to go to that country," and actually hit them up with stuff that's going to make them less compassionate, um, more
Yes.
able to
It just turns them into violent killers.
more fearless and all that sort of stuff. Now, these can be done in various ways. I also wanted to repeat for a lot of people who have seen my work on subliminal programming And the suggestion that people subliminally program themselves and use silent subliminals and stuff like that to program themselves to keep them as they want themselves to be, as opposed to what a machine is telling them to be through a subconscious programming mechanism. That stuff is real. Like your V2K, you've got all the stuff that you can hear
Oh
with your
shit, they've been
V2K.
using subliminals for decades through television and radio.
Subliminals are flying through the air and they're hitting everyone with this shit. And they are trying to tear you down. They're trying to make you violent. They're trying to make you leave your wife. They're trying to make you, gay. They're trying to make you do all kinds of ridiculous things. And like make bad investment choices. Like I've proven all this, like with some of the recordings I've got. And so this stuff is in the air, and the more you become, these fibers are growing on you, and they can induce that by hitting you more in the head, and they'll make them grow even more in your head and in your nose. Then you'll start to pick it up more, and you might not be able to hear it, but your subconscious hears it. And that's how your whole moods can change, and your whole persona can start to change, and you start to react to things that are stupid and irrational. You know. Yeah. And so my herb protocol, I can send you the link to that one. Someone asked about that.
Right,
But we're going to have to wrap
dosage of
really
doxy
soon.
for 4 weeks. Hang on, just a minute, David, because somebody's asking here what dosage of doxy for 4 weeks. It's 100 milligrams twice a day. So what you want to do is get yourself enough tablets to last 4 weeks, and it's 100 milligrams twice a day. What you want to do is like maybe 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, but do not eat any dairy either 2 hours before or 2 hours afterwards, because if you've got dairy in your system, it will stop the doxycycline working properly.
Let me tell you another little trick. If you have DMSO half an hour before, you have like a teaspoon of DMSO in water, and half an hour before, and make sure it's good quality DMSO, not industrial, not that smells like sewage. It has to smell like nothing, and it gives you garlic breath and stuff when you have it. It's fine. But half an hour after you have your doxy on top of that, it soaks through your body away a whole lot more. The DMSO will make your doxy like 40% more effective. And then there is this biofilms. If you've got raised areas or lesions on the skin that are coming up, that's where biofilms form, and they form these hard little rocks, and inside there the bacteria will hide as well. Now, if you're not treating them,
DMSO gel, does that work for them?
Yes, DMSO plus an antibacterial combined will both break into the skin to get under the skin and kill off that bacteria. But you also need to be rubbing that out, and you need to be putting a antibacterial into it as well. A microbial,
what kind of antibacterial?
An antimicrobial on those areas. Treat the lesions. So you can use an oil like an oregano oil. A lot of these are very they're very burny. I'm just trying to think what else is good for antimicrobial. So I use DMSO mixed with coconut oil, aloe vera, and I put a bit of cinnamon bark oil, which stings like a mofo, mind you. But you can use oregano oil is good. Oregano oil instead of cinnamon bark oil. And that applied, and that's reducing my biofilms that I've got on the surface of the skin. Very well.
Somebody's asking where your herb protocol is. If you can't find it on David's page, I reposted it on mine in my notes.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I can't remember what I called that article, but it's on the front page, I reckon. Oh, actually, yeah, no, I've done a lot of articles lately. It's on the front page, I reckon. Which is that just echo back?
Because I had it saved, but I've lost it. But I did post it. I reposted it on my page under notes about 2 weeks ago.
I've got it here. It says all natural treatment. It's called all natural treatment for Morgellons and Lyme disease. There we are. Done.
Can you put the link up in here? If you put it in the right message box. All right. Okay.
what I'm going to do is for this stuff, anything I capture in the live chat that people have asked about that we haven't addressed, I'll try and put it into the document on this post. So come back and visit the page after we've finished. Once I've had a chance, and I'll put whatever we've sort of talked about, I'll try and put a link to.
What about the smells? Somebody says, I don't know, but I don't know what.
Yeah, Vicky, I'm not sure. I can't help you with the smells. That the smells that I get, like this stuff, when you start to get breakouts from this, and you're getting a heavy amount of these fibers and stuff, it can push and create like sort of raised areas on the skin, and when you rub over them, they feel slimy and stuff, and that can sometimes have a very distinctive smell, and that is the bacteria. That's what we're talking about. That's actually the infection. It is a bacterial infection, and it's under the skin, and that can have quite a
Has it made your hearing more sensitive and your sense of smell more sensitive?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
My hearing's always been good. My sense of smell's decent. It's not super good, but it's decent. My hearing's always.
I've kind of like, I've always had super strong hearing.
Yeah.
And it's not been affected, even though the tinnitus fucking screams and drives me. I just kind of ignore it most of the time. But I've always had super sensitive hearing. I can hear conversations that nobody else can hear from people talking across the road. Which
actually, I should remind people about this again. But I basically have this thickening area of my ear that gets thick. Like if in here, the thickness between here and here, like if I'm holding these little flappy bits, this one's thinner. This has got a welt on it, which is grown since they've started doing this. And this one has got thickness. It's thicker than the other side. Now, if I get just DMSO, and I rub that through here, right, it all flattens out like it should be. So it goes back to normal.
Right.
And guess what? And my V2K goes down massively when I do that. Massively. I rub my ear with DMSO.
Now, is that the liquid or the gel?
It's the liquid. So the one I've got is like this.
Okay.
It looks like this. It's just a bottle. It's got clear liquid. And that stuff is excellent for breaking down all this biofilms and stuff. And it's sort of, and if you put an antibacterial with it, and not bacterial, antimicrobial with it, then it'll help to break down that bacteria as well.
Neat or with water?
Say again?
Neat or with water?
That one there is a 99%, and it's a 99%. If you're going to mix it with water, I'd mix it with an oil instead of the water. It would be better for stuff like this. So
you don't dilute it when you use it?
Yeah, you can put a bit of coconut oil with it, or you can put olive oil with it.
So you don't need to dilute it with water, though. You just use it neat.
You can. At 99% straight on the skin, it's going to be a bit harsh. It'll be a bit harsh, and so it can react.
So use it with coconut oil or water.
Yeah, coconut. You can put distilled water with it, but I wouldn't put anything other.
Okay.
It'll react with a lot of things otherwise. But yeah.
Okay. So probably the best thing then is just to use organic coconut oil.
Organic coconut oil. That's what I use. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Yeah.
Alrighty.
Cool. All right. We might wrap it up now because we've been on here nearly for 2 hours.
All right, Danny.
Nina, thank you so much for joining us today, for having this chat. It's been really nice.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, well, it's perfect. And we just needed to raise awareness. I think we've both come to the same conclusions that we've discussed in here today. People, I think, need to heed the call. The first thing I'd say for people, if you don't believe, go and get yourself a microscope or a jeweler's loop and have a look. And what we'll do is, have a look, and then you can start to really explore what the solution is, right? Because without this electromagnetic stuff growing out of us, we wouldn't be as targetable as we currently are.
No, so it's definitely a huge.
Massive.
I think it's 75% of how they're targeting us is the shit that's in our bodies, and to kill it back and control it, it cuts off a lot of their power.
That's right. And so
But
we
I
don't
would
go.
like to stress to everybody, don't talk to your doctor and don't talk to the police, because they are both working together and they will fuck you.
That's exactly right, and they don't want this information out. They will commit you
No,
before they actually help you. And so
they
that's
don't
a
want
way.
people
But
talking about it.
yeah, because it's their mechanism of control. This is the transhuman they're talking about.
Yes.
They've infected us with a bacteria.
No.
Know that our body is made up of 2 to 6% microbial. Like, our bodies have got at
Yes.
least 2% microbes. All they've done is added one into
Yes.
the mix, right? Because we've already got
Yep.
them there. They just add one in that's symbiotic, that'll sit there, and you won't notice it until you get a microscope
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then if you do that, they'll say you're crazy, whatever you're seeing. If you go to a dermatologist, they're taught that if someone comes in going, "I've got black fibers," they'll be like, "Crazy. You don't need me, you need a psych coach," right? That's our message.
Yeah.
And thank you, Christina. Thank you everyone for joining us as
All right,
well.
darling. Thanks ever so much for inviting me.
No worries. And,
All right,
all the
darling. I'll
best.
speak to you soon.
Yeah, we'll chat soon, all right? Ciao, ciao.
All right, darling. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.